Hey, salute to everybody that's joining me today. We don't have a topic of conversation because a lot of conversations been had about Gen Z males. Gen Z males seems to be the topic of conversations. Obviously, a large percentage of them have turned conservative. Some of them have completely checked out. And this is not just an American phenomena. This is always also happening all the way over in Asia. They have various different platforms like or social push, like laying flat, a lot of frustration. We know that birth rates are down around the world globally, especially in Asian countries. And we see a lot of the young people not following a lot of the traditional norms of the past. But lately, especially here in the West, we see with Scott Galloway and now with Tommy Lauren and other people that are pretty much giving Gen Z males quite a bit of heat as of late. The This particular clip that was on Fox News with Laura Ingraham, where she talks about the rise of the stay-at-home sons. Let me let you guys hear it for a second so I can reference what I'm talking about. Let's continue on. There you go. Fair use. We'll respond to it later.
Speaker Johnson has been talking about those maybe deadbeat folks that are on Medicaid, and maybe some of those folks are the stay-at-home sons. We don't know. But I'll tell you this, leave it to Gen Z to rebrand laziness and social awkwardness as something cutesy, like a stay-at-home son. They did much the same thing with quiet quitting, where you can go to work and do less. And if you call it quiet quitting, it's somehow better. But Laura, I got to tell you, this is also a big problem when it comes to, I think, declining birth rates, people not getting married and having children. You know, that's a big problem. They blame it on women. Well, look at what young women have to choose from. The pickings are slim. Yes, we might have a feminism problem in America, but it's the feminization of men. There are a lot of young women out there that want to get married. They want to have kids. They want to have stable families. But there are a lot of young men out there who want to live in mama's basement and order DoorDash. And therein lies a big part of the problem.
Whew, so much. What's up, gunmetal guy? Salute to you, man. We gotta get into this topic. We want to put everything in context. She threw a lot of this right there, gunmetal. Salute to you. Hey, everybody hit the like button when you come in. We really gotta take a deep dive into this. And first of all, from the looks of her eyes and her body language, I detect that this is just not her speaking. I detect that this is corporate sponsored feminism and the government. It's like a government agent that's talking right now. There's so much to unpack. Everybody has this weird historical context of how we got here in the first place. It's crazy. Let me get the likes up here. Hit the like button, people coming in. You guys hit the like button as you come into the stream. We're gonna get this out. You say, come on, guys. Say Tommy Lauren is a feminist. Steven pretending to be a Semper. He said, Tommy. Covert feminism. Covert feminism. What I want to. Yeah, she is a covert feminist. That is for sure. And not only that, Tommy Lauren is married to some successful baseball player. I don't know what she doesn't really have a dog in this fight, but she is hired. She is easy on the eyes. And she has a bone to pick. I think the last time, what's the guy's name from The Crucible, dug into her about being a covert feminist. And I think she has some resentment in regards to that. What's his name? Andrew, whatever his name is. The guy dug into her from The Crucible. The guy who does the debate stuff. I forgot his name. He said, remember that racing video where she impromptu went on a rant calling on me and all kinds of names because she got dumped. And that's her true personality. Yeah, I mean, it's a fact of life. But the crazy part about this is what happens is we got to get to a historical context of how did we get here? And shame is the weapon of choice. But somehow we forget the history of how we got here. People forget that for the last 70, 80 plus years, we have had corporate sponsored feminism and a government empowerment and push program promoting women, attacking manhood and masculinity, attempting, literally, it's been a serious push through the media, through institutions, through the laws to feminize boys. You've been trying hard to feminize boys for the last 70, 80 years. Then you push feminism and promoted feminism, especially in the Black community and even in the white community, where we try to empower women and create this egalitarian society, a gynocracy, a gynocentric environment, obviously to promote more spending and more women's spending and less control of men. So this women's empowerment movement has been going on, backed by the government, backed by corporations, to basically clip the balls off of men. And now we at here in 2025, and now we're surprised that there's a percentage of young men that have checked out. We're not going to even get into the economics of things or whatever financial situation is. We got to get this thing spread around a little bit, because it's easy to just kick Gen Z. See, the problem is this. In traditional cultures, if she is talking about traditionalism, you are your father and mother's son. In traditional cultures, you are your father and mother's son. So your behavior or your success in life many times is directly linked to the family, you see? So if Gen Z is a problem, then you go find their father and their mother. Granted, let me be example. Sometimes people do the best in their situations to raise their kids the best they can. But if Gen Z is a failure, then their parents are also a failure. Then their parents' parents is also a failure. Then their parents' parents is also a failure. You get my drift? If we're being traditional, wherever household that kid comes from, the failure starts with the parents. So why isn't the media attacking said parents? But not even that. What is the agenda behind the attack? Is it really that you care about Gen Z? Or is it that you care about birth rates? You care about fueling the society and fueling capitalism? Do you really care about men? Do you care about men? Because the only time you really care about men is when the men have checked out, when a certain percentage of the young men are not developing the way you would want to, a small percentage of them are not giving you what you want. And that's when lies the problem. You can call the kids incels or call them whatever you want. Who raised these incels that you're talking about? Who raised them? That's the first problem. You know, that's the first thing they don't want to talk about. You said even when these people claim to be traditional women, they're still not of equal. They weren't created so, and they are perpetually pissed off. And that's we get into this problem, you know. And he said the overall agenda is military recruitment, and all leads to that. Military recruitment, capitalism, and I see a lot of the guys, especially the content creators. Let's have a historical conversation of how we got here. Put it all on the table, because it's easy to just kick young men all the time. Talk about how we put everything on the table. Talk about what we have done to manhood and masculinity over the past 70, 80 years. Let's have a deep conversation. Let's take a deep dive into all of this. We had a party platform with the Democrats where they challenged the very notion of what a man is. Literally, we've been pushing gender ideology and wokeism on all the university campuses. And they've been trying to transition young men for how many years? They've been talking about masculinity as toxic. This has been promoted by corporations, sponsored, funded, backed by government policy. They've been trying to create this genderless world for the last 50 years. Do we forget about those things? How through the media we've been attacking men? They've been attacking men for the last 60, 70 years. Nobody ever wants to talk about this. Everything about men or masculinity is toxic unless it serves them. We see these shows about the smart, intelligent, sophisticated wife and the dumb bloke that's happy to marry her. We see it in the sitcoms. We see it everywhere. So this is systematically and strategically through the media, through government policy, through everything you can think of, they've been trying to emasculate men, make men softer, make men weaker, destabilize men's power in the household. And you don't even want to talk about the black. That's just the overall society. The black community is worse. The black women in that community basically took on the mantle of feminism. So they took on the mantle of feminism. They became the face of the feminism. Strong and independent, don't need no man. Took a lot of government benefit. They basically traded their families for government benefits. They sold their families out. I mean, Corey Holcomb did a really good skit on that one. I can't remember so much, but literally, it was like a good skit he did on that, man. I find it. Like literally, we've had a government movement, a movement pushed by corporations and the government. That's funny. And we talk about this. I want to really play that one by Corey Holcomb. Stop saying, get it off the string. We want to get into there. What happened? Let's get the historical perspective. Okay, let's get the historical perspective. Salute to Corey Holcomb for telling the truth about what happened, especially, let's start with the black community and how we get here. If we're going to go after Gen Z, put everybody on the table. Put old dudes like me on the table. I'm 50 years old, Gen X. Put boomers on the table. If you're going to go after Gen Z male, then you go after his daddy, go after his mama, Go after his grandpa. Go after his grandma. Go after everybody. Go after the woman that sold out her family for government. Go after all of them. You're going to go after Gen Z. Get Gen Z, but get the rest of them too. That's my point. That's my own perspective. I'm in the middle of all this. But spread the blame around and spread the criticism equally. Let everybody have their piece of the pie and go after the government that pushed this feminization of men and corporate sponsored feminism. Go after everybody. You can't just go after Gen Z. Get everybody in, you got to put everybody under the same umbrella. Go ahead, Corey. Explain to them what happened. Let's go from the Black community perspective.
My sisters, the Roosters, are coming home. Everything you did is finna come back on you because they have people in place government-wise to show you we used you to destroy the village. Now we really have no use for you no more. Your daddy ain't there. Your husband ain't there. Your son is raised wrong. Your daughter is watching you twerk. You have done what we wanted you to do well in destroying the village. The father of your child is probably in court with you over nothing. You ate from the forbidden tree. You went and used a system that destroys you to destroy your family. And now they have no use for you. Remember all the female black mayors and everything that was happening and all like that?
Yeah.
They ain't got no use for that shit no more. I see the girl. We are the most educated. Yes, they sold you a degree that ain't finna be worth. Yeah, you who have aged out and fell for the sucker shit in destroying your village, your family, and yourselves, the only thing you can do is try to tell your children, don't do what I did. All you women 40, 50, 60, it's over for you. You need to explain to your children, don't do what I did. Don't go around here talking about you don't need a man publicly. Don't go around bashing men for the most part publicly, because all these women who are on the internet for bashing men, there's a record of it, and I think we need to keep a record of these women in case they try to act like they something different later on. I'm talking about the moral people of the world. You have to be aware of these women that's out for self, not for the village, because they are about to find themselves back in the village with the villagers, and the fronting like you rich, the fronting like all this is finna be over. I'm telling you, most of my sisters are broke than a motherfucker, just like most of my brothers are broke. But the sisters was acting like they not broke, holding up drinks on an island that they got there with a buddy pass and all that shit. No, it's finna be time during this administration where this man is literally pouring out all the fish in the pond and letting you see him try to live with no air. He's taking your income away. What jobs do you think will be available for us? When I say us, I'm talking about people of color. What jobs are going to be available for us in the future? You got to learn how to cook again.
And back to wet nursing.
Say it again.
It's going to be tough to get a wet nurse job with fake titties. That's bad for the baby.
It's over. It's time to be accountable for who you are. They allowed you to hide on the porch and act like you was better than the brothers they wouldn't even let on the porch. Guess what? They kicking all y'all off the porch. I see what's happening with money. Oh man, money is finna be scarce. You're gonna have to learn how to be a person who can take care of a household, and you're gonna have to bow down to something greater than yourself. Your bitch is gonna be worthless. I'm talking about worthless. The only thing you're gonna have is your body to sell, and the cost that people are willing to pay for you is gonna be so disrespectful what they'll pay to other bitches. Don't you see what's happening? Motherfuckers is getting bitches $25,000 a cheek. what they giving you. You're not going to get that. You're going to get enough to have to come back. But that's how we supposed to pay, bitch. You're supposed to pay them in a way where they can't go out there and get on their feet with this.
Corey's too cold. he goes a little bit in too deep for me, man. But he's right. So again, we got to talk about causation. We got to have a historical perspective of how we get here. And we got to spread it on around the blame. Let's put the historical perspective on the table. I remember the actor Jackie Chan. He had an issue with his son. His son obviously went off the rails, got involved in drugs, did some things that did not respectfully represent the family name. You see, in China, when you commit a transgression out in public and whatever else, it brings shame not just to you. They ask you, who is your daddy? Who is your mama? What family do you come from? And your whole family would necessarily have to apologize for your behavior and how you represent the family out in public. Shame. That's why saving face is so important in that culture. What I don't understand, Gen Z just came here. Generation Z just came here. And here we are in 2025, kicking the newbies on the block. What do we have now? Generation Alpha is the newbies now, but Gen Z hasn't been here that long. So, Generation Z, those born between 1996 and 2010. Here we go. 1996 and 2010. That's Gen Z right there. (1996 and 2010). This is who we're attacking. Not saying that men should not be. We're only focusing on the males. We're only focusing on the males. They're not focusing on the females. And we're not talking about the fact that the majority of Gen Z females have been raised on feminism. What comes with feminism? Sexual liberation. Do you add in internet in there? You add in the fact that we live in a gynocentric environment, a gynocracy. You add all this as part of the equation. It has its effect on many things: dating, relationship, marriages. If the young women were raised to focus on their career, if young women were raised to be feminists, to focus on their career, to postpone childbearing until they get into their 30s after they've experienced life, what are they doing in the meantime? They're not celibate. They're out here having sex. What, maybe a smaller percentage of men? Are these women even wives? Has Tommy Lauren ever considered that these young ladies that she said that are so unique and special, are they even wife quality women? For these young men to even want to be married? So We sexually liberated women. We feminized the boys. But then we turn back when society's birth rates are down, when we have about 7 million young men that are checked out. We turn back and we kick the young men in the back and call them a bunch of derelicts. But if they're derelicts, aren't their daddy and mama derelicts too? Granted, kids can turn out to be anything. But what about their grandparents who raised their daddy and mama? What about their family name? What about the young ladies that they're supposed to be marrying? There's no conversation that can be had in this society about what men require or want from women. It's always about how young men are failing. You say, if Vegas Dave said, oh yes, we're supposed to rush and marry ran through strong, independent women who can divorce us and take everything just because they woke up on the wrong side of the bed. And that's what I was trying to tell. Like, what is the incentive for these young men to be marrying these women in the first place? You know, like, I get what you're saying. Men cannot be derelicts. Men should always be the best version of themselves. But that's where I draw the line. Yes, men should be the best version of themselves. Yes, men should level up for financial freedom. Yes, men should improve their mental health. All these things I agree with. But at the end of that rainbow, it has to be for the men nowadays. It can't be for the women. So when I motivate young men, I talk about early retirement, financial freedom, enjoying life, enjoying travel, building themselves, being a productive member of the society. And if they happen to find a unicorn and they want to start a family, excellent. Do that if that's what you desire. But I don't use that as the primary motive for why a young man want to be successful and why he wants to achieve, because we cannot really use women as a motivating factor anymore because of what they have done with themselves through sexual liberation and through feminism. It's just not a good motivator anymore in 2025. It's just not. So why even waste my time trying to encourage these young men to want to be in a relationship? There hasn't been any changes in the divorce laws. Nothing has changed. They're not talking about changing the laws. They don't care about changing the laws because the laws themselves are beneficial to capitalism. And in a gynocentric environment, it's not going to change. So where's that clip? But that's something they don't want to really talk about. So we got to change the motivating factor for young men. Because again, you can get young men to compete with many things. You know, you say, look, man, let's meet at the basketball court right there today. Or let's go fix this car or remove an engine from a car for some of the young men. That is a challenge, and it challenges them, and it digs into their masculinity and manhood and their desire to solve problems and fix problems. You know, it draws into that fixing complex problems and issues, the issues that we've had so much of a crushing blow to masculinity. It's a difficult environment right now, but the women are definitely not the motivating factor. Put that up there. Here's what they don't talk about, Vegas Dave, in reference to what you're talking about right there. This is what I'm talking about. We got to talk about hoflation. The concept of a man having to work 20 times harder than their grandfathers did for a woman that's 20 20 times worse than what their grandmothers would. We've got to have a conversation about that. So Tommy Lauren wants to talk about marriage. What exactly are these young men getting in marriage? Let this sink in for a few. And again, this was a product of feminism, sexual liberation. They're getting a sexually liberated woman. That's what they have to look forward to at the end of the rainbow. So again, I don't promote young men sitting around being unproductive citizens. I think young men should be the best version of themselves. They should develop themselves mentally, physically, financially. All of those things that needs to happen to them for them and their own benefit as responsible, productive human beings, and for their own survival and for their own achievement and living a good quality, productive, healthy life. I don't promote basement dwellers. I don't promote loser behavior and loser activity. But I certainly ain't going to be out here bashing Gen Z. If anything, I'm going to try and inspire them to be the best version that they can be as men. You notice everything I'm talking about only benefits the young men. If a side effect of that is that it benefits society, great. But what I talk about is what benefits the young men first. What's good for you as a young man? Not what's good for you as some cog in the wheel, but how to benefit your life. You know, it's not about the women. It's about you and what you need to do for you as a man. And that's the fundamental problem we have there. That's there again. You're supposed to put everything on the line for a sexually liberated chick who gave away for free dozens. What's up, Cortez? Salute to you, man. That's where the fundamental problem comes in, and where I think a lot of people are lost is that, you know, hey, again, what has happened with the young men checking out is a derailment of the social program. Right? There wasn't expecting this amount of young men to just lay flat. It's a problem. It's a problem. I don't think there's a lot of guys. I don't think there's that many. I see some young men that probably still stay at home that work these jobs, certain jobs that are not really the go-get-it jobs. That I see. Very few incels, but I do see a proportion of young men that work these jobs, certain jobs. There is a growing, there's a large number of son husbands, but that's because of parental hijacking and kidnapping by single moms. Many times these single moms hijacked the masculinity in their boys because they cannot coexist with a masculine man their age. So they get the boys and they hijack the boys. There's not too many young men in situations with masculine men that are, you know, camping out without having some level of productivity. And that's not happening. But there are quite a few son husbands, especially in the Black community. Oh my God. There's an epidemic of son husbands, but that's because mama has hijacked their son's masculinity. They raised those boys to be their husbands. You know? Yeah, that's what I see but they see them as underperforming. Yeah, I totally agree. Like I see like lot of them, yeah. Yeah, because that's what their mama and them kidnapped them. You know what I mean? Like literally, we should really be investigating the kidnapping of boys by their mamas because their mama can't get along with no man. She can't she jacked up in the head. Many of them are damaged. So that's their security. The security is their boys. They raise them till they're big and strong enough so they can go ahead and kidnap their boys. That's what single moms do. So what they do is they leverage their boys. They don't have to get along with a man for protection and provision. They just make their sons their son husbands. Problem solved. So they can continue on with their feminism and be disagreeable. They don't have to fall under the leadership of no man. They got the government and they got their sons. It's the perfect formula. Why would they need a man? Uncle Sam and son husband. That's complete. Maybe they get old boy down the street to come pound them out twice a month. Old boy down the street, or that's why they can have sex with any type of man they want, because they got the son husband and they got the government to protect them. So I mean, they don't have to get along with a man. Why? They have him they hold his sons hostage. You know, and it's a sickness. It's disturbing, you know, but you can't make this shit up. Yeah. That's what we don't talk about. We don't talk about how feminism has inspired government empowerment has inspired a community of single moms who have hijacked and kidnapped their own sons and turned them into son husbands. Where's the conversation about that? I mean, we have it every once in a while on the internet, but they're not talking about that. This plan and this mission to feminize boys, the sexual liberation of our women that makes them non-wife quality. Yeah, it is crazy, man. Yeah. Oh, they don't let go of them boys. These single moms out here, man, that is the last hope for them. They plan to build a whole life with their boys like their husbands. They be like, man, or mook. Whenever you move to that new town to get that new job, mama's moving right there with you. Them boys don't got a chance. Them mama on their ass like white on rice. Because she don't got no plan for no man. She's mismanaged her youth. And her husband, her boy has become her man. Most of them are just purely assholes. They can't get along with no man. No, they can't. They're disrespectful. They're disagreeable. And they have done anything to improve themselves mentally, psychologically, physically, emotionally. Damn sure ain't financially. This is not all. There's exceptions to every rule. But generally speaking, that's where you see a lot of the son husbands. And who is the catalyst behind it? It started with their mama. Remember, Gen Z, 1996 to 2010. That's when they were born. Generation Z. They haven't been around long enough. They didn't start this single mom thing. They were born into that shit. They were born into that. And nobody wants to talk about that. So how do we fix this problem becomes the issue. You know, and that's what, you know, he said, I don't get along with most women in my family because I don't let them talk to me any kind of way, which infuriates them. But they talk to men again. The sons are insurance policies. The single moms, the sons are an insurance policy. It's hijacked masculinity. Because these boys can be emotional too. And they're especially emotional about their mama. When you hear one of them say, "On my mama," you better get the hell up out of there. You got a fight on your hands or you about to get deleted. On my mama. Never on my daddy. On my mama. Run. Because something about to go down. Somebody's about to start capping. So we're dealing with this environment that is completely toxic for healthy masculinity, healthy families, healthy communities. What they didn't plan on is what came about with men's content and men's content creators. Some say the red pill faces, some say the manosphere. Or they started with the men's rights movement years ago. I remember Paul Elam and the rest of those old guys. They didn't count on those types of spaces coming up. The internet, YouTube, social media came online. Places where men were getting unfiltered, uncontrolled, unscripted information away from mainstream media. And where men were being forced to develop their own masculinity, being challenged to develop their own masculinity, being challenged to do self-development, being challenged to embrace their masculinity and their manhood. They can't really control that much what I say to young men. They can cancel me, they can get rid of me a certain way, but the message is already out, especially when there's a lot of guys that are talking or educating young men and educating men in general about what's going on, how we got here, what's going on in society, their own manhood, their own masculinity, and the manipulation that's going on, that we see going on in society. But the fundamental question that I don't see ever asked is this question about what incentive is there for men? There's never a question about what men want. What can men get? What exactly is you're willing to offer men? What about men's needs? Not just men as these sacrificial animals or men just being like crash test dummies for society or disposable crash dummies for the greater society and for women. What is it that men get? Do they get respect? Do they get honor? Do they even get quality women? Do they even get quality women in return? What exactly are they getting? We're not even going to talk about the changes in jobs, the expenses, inflation. We got inflation, we got the economy, we got automation. We keep wanting men to be better for worse. So my solution is take women off the table. Take women off the table and focus on just the men. Take women off the table. Because if we use women today, if we use today's modern woman as a reward for men's work, effort, and whatever else, we'll end up with a bunch, the situation will get worse we'll end up with a bunch of homeless men or men riding around in rat rods and shit. If we use today's women as a motivator for young men, we'll end up with a bunch of homeless young men. Because what's out here in these streets is not only not worth minimum wage, it ain't worth crap. If we would have used what's happened with sexual liberation out here with today's young women as a motivating factor for the men, for the young men, we end up with a worse situation than we have right now, which is a bunch of homeless young men. We don't want that. They won't even stay at the basement anymore. They'll move out in the damn bushes. What's going on, my brother? Salute to you, man. Appreciate your support, man. He's a long time, big bro. Keep battling Kenny to see. Oh, man. Sorry to hear that, man. Sorry to hear that, man. Yeah, man. I hope you get well, man. Appreciate your super chat. Thank you for supporting the channel. But I have to keep the message out here. We can't use these women, man. We'll end up with a worse situation. Take these women off the table before you end up with a bunch of homeless young men. They'll start living in the damn bushes. The only really motivator now is box. I mean, maybe they get horny, but they can get that anywhere. They can buy it if they got a couple of dollars in their pocket. If they can't game it, they can buy it. I mean, it is what it is, you know. But man, I hope you get better, man. God bless you, man. You know, we got to keep praying for our brother, man. I hope you're getting better, man. I hope you're getting well, because your health is wealth, man. You know, I'm sorry to hear that, man. But I appreciate you supporting the channel. But I had to address this topic today, man. You know, because again, I'm not making no excuses for any young men laying in no basement, not doing what they're supposed to do. Hell no, you're a man. Get up out that basement and go get yourself a job, get yourself in shape, get yourself motivated for you. Forget about these women. You need money to live a good life for you. You want to live a good life. You want to travel. You want to do things for yourself. You want to experience financial freedom and early retirement. And if you meet a unicorn in your journeys, snatch her up, because they're rare, you know. But this idea that, you know, what Tomi Lahren is saying, she tripping. Where's she at? You know, she tripping. Tomi tripping. You know, and you think about someone like her. And Laura Ingraham know better, you know, diatribe, and we'll respond to it later.
Speaker Johnson has been talking about those maybe deadbeat folks that are on Medicaid, and maybe some of those folks are the stay-at-home sons. We don't know. But I'll tell you this, leave it to Gen Z to rebrand laziness and social awkwardness as something cutesy, like a stay-at-home son. They did much the same thing with quiet quitting, where you can go to work and do less. And if you call it quiet quitting, it's somehow better. But Laura, I got to tell you, this is also a big problem when it comes to, I think, declining birth rates, people not getting married and having children. You know, that's a big problem. They blame it on women. Well, look at what young women have to choose from.
No. Well, young women have a lot to choose from. That's feminism. What does feminism tell young ladies to do? The evil patriarchy. Focus on your career. Career first. Achieve this equality with men. Postpone childbirth. Don't get married. You don't want to be oppressed by men. The evil patriarchy. Delay, you can have babies anytime, but your career is what's first. Put your career first. Forget about family. Family is oppression. Family is evil. Patriarchal is evil. Masculinity is evil. That's what feminism promotes in women. So women in their younger years are not even interested in getting married. You see the lies she's telling? What they have to choose from, they have a lot to choose from. They don't want to choose from, especially when they're young and fertile. Oh, they have a bunch of men to choose from. Maybe because they have some hypergamy in them, they may think that a young man that's on their same level is beneath them. But they're not even looking to be wives at that young age. They're not. So what are we talking about? You know what I mean? So she's making crap up. How did we get here? That's the fundamental dysfunction that I see in her thinking. You say, what do we have? Fat and lazy, nasty, etc. We got even worse. We got ran through. By the time, the problem is that, look, these young ladies, including Tomi Lahren, she got a husband. She's married. She's married. She got some famous baseball player, whatever, to marry her or whatever. But during this time period where they're enjoying this feminism, let's say from 18 on, they're still having sex. That's what Tomi neglects, sexual liberation. They're still getting pounded out. Like they're still enjoying sexual liberation. They're not exactly chilling on the sidelines. So the young men have to, do that shit. They're enjoying that shit. He said, statistically, America has a male abundance. Men are running circles around women in terms of dateability. The average woman is fatter than the average man, no matter what race. There's a hell of a lot of young men to choose from. I don't know what she's talking about. You don't have to pick an incel. There's plenty of them. There's plenty of young men to choose from. But listen to that feminist rhetoric. TradCon women are the most covert feminists off the planet. Tomi enjoyed sexual liberation. I know she did. She's been vigorously and viciously pounded out. I know, I can see that 1,000-yard stare in her eyes. So even trad women are coming to the marriage with multiple bodies on them. They don't become trad wives until they get ran through. So they don't become like, they don't be looking to get married until after they've been ran through completely. That's why you got to watch these trad wives, man. And I played in that video. But they don't even talk about the laws either, Let me let that play. Tomi tripping.
The pickings are slim. Yes, we might have a feminism problem in America, but it's the feminization of men. There are a lot of young.
No. There she go again, telling lies. Telling lies. These women are focused on their career when they're young. They're out here enjoying sexual liberation. They're not trying to settle down. Because if they were really trying to settle down, they would get a career, they would get an education, get a husband, and a career at the same time when they're young. They're not doing that, Tommy. Stop lying. You're a liar.
Women out there that want to get married, they want to have kids, they want to have stable families, but there are a lot of young men out there who want to live in mama's basement and order DoorDash, and therein lies a big part of the problem.
So here we go again. They want to get married, they want to have families on their terms, where nothing is really in it for men. So really, men's response really is just a reaction to the current environment. It's just basically they see and they understand how unfair the environment is. They see what their grandfathers, their fathers, and everybody else has had to go through. Let me give you an example of some of the stuff that guys have witnessed in their lives. Let's continue.
My husband not doing things that he should be doing, such as spending quality time with me and our 17-year-old daughter.
Okay.
He's just not coming up to par, and frankly, I'm tired. I'm sick and tired of it.
All right. Now, what does that have to do with me?
Well, I want a divorce.
You want a divorce because of that? You want to put him on child support because of that?
Yes, obviously. I mean, he is the provider of our home, and absolutely, I want child support.
He's the provider of your home, and you just want to get rid of him like that?
He doesn't take me out. We don't do fun things anymore. And frankly, I'm bored.
Oh, okay.
I'm not really sure why I'm here. I'm recently retired. I'm tired. I worked 50 years
Where did you retire from?
from the military.
Thank you for your service, sir.
Thank you.
So there's a few things that I don't do as a married woman. Number one, I do not cook for my husband. I only cook for my children. My husband will be making his own breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Number two, I do not help him pay any bills. So if he is short on the rent, on utilities, or anything like that, it is not my problem. I will not be helping him out. His job is to provide for his family. So I am not financially contributing to any of the bills. Number three, I do not do his laundry. I have my own laundry and my children's laundry to do, so he could do his own. I won't help him put it away. I won't help him fold anything. That's his responsibility. Number four, he is responsible for replacing any of his essentials like soap, shampoo, anything like that. He needs to go buy it himself. Even if I'm at the store, I will not be replacing it for him. If he needs new underwear, new socks, or anything like that, that's for him to do.
Problem. And you know, Speaker Johnson has
So basically what you have is real. So this is where we at right now. And this is why this is so dangerous, because they're writing a narrative. She's writing a narrative. I remember I did this, guys, about women like Tommy Lauren. This is those types of women right there. And you're going to see this quite a bit in this new economy that you see out here. You're going to see a lot of these fake ass trad wives and this shaming of Gen Z and everybody trying to get Gen Z to go out here and make babies and do all this stuff that we want without any real consideration and talk about what men want. This is what you're going to see. This is Tommy Lauren right here. They transform, man. And you know where they at right now, right? They're in the church. They're trying to religious gaslight men back into marriage, back into relationships. This is what they're doing now. This is the new hustle. You know, the new hustle. It's the new hustle right now. You know, that's why I refuse to take part in this shit. Tell the full story or don't tell none at all. You know what I mean? Tell the full story or don't tell none at all. So this rebranding that's coming now, because even now, man, let me tell you something. You want to see something, guys? Try and call a feminist in 2025. You might get smacked or something. Call a feminist in 2025. You want to provoke some outrage? Call a feminist, or call a fake feminine woman a covert feminist. They get all pissed off. You know, you do that in 2025. I mean, man. So they're pushing this traditionalism narrative or how men are just underperforming. And there are some men that are underperforming. You know, there are some men that are basement dwellers. But we're not talking about how we got here. That's what I want to put on the table, the full story. And then once you understand how we got here, you can respectfully work on solutions to a problem or an issue, if there is a problem, or that just men just don't see women as worth it. And look, they just may not see today's modern women as even worth it. They might have a desire for sex, but a desire to have a real relationship with one of these women, I don't know. Oh yeah. I remember that. Yeah, they checked her out. You know, they got on her. She did it like Fox. You know, obviously Fox is pretty conservative for the most part, and they really got on her ass. But she was blaming men for being immature and not choosing her after she enjoyed her fun days and she was getting older. But like I said, even now she's reading off a script. So again, this is a conversation that needs to be had. Nobody's talking about this, but I'll pass my hour limit on a beautiful Saturday at 5:05. You know, and we got to really get this on the table. Here's what they're trying to do now. And what I see, this is what they're trying to do right now from the woman's perspective. This is what they're trying to do to the men. And this is what the Democrats are trying to do with their $20 million boost, is present this idea of this positive. They're trying to hijack masculinity now. So again, they see the young men checked out, turning more conservative Gen Z. Now we're going to turn it and flip it around, and we're going to now hijack masculinity and rebrand it to make them a disposable tampon that benefits us. Let's take male disposability and let's make it about us now. Let's reprogram their minds to serve us because we need them for votes. That's what the $20 million Democratic agenda is, with reaching out to men. And at the end of the day, everything about men and their description is about everything that benefits everybody else other than that man. It's about what benefits everybody else outside of that man. It just doesn't benefit that man. You can't have a conversation with what men want. Have a conversation about how men's supposed to be treated in relationship. Have a conversation about what the expectations or what women's duty are in relationship. What value they're going to bring to men. Man, they look at you like you're an alien. But have a conversation about men jumping on a sword for women. Everybody love you. Imagine if I had a Panda Bear channel. If I had a channel that conformed to the social programming, that sat here and lied to women or men, pandered to the world. You know how many people be watching this show right now? There'd be a whole bunch of women watching this show. If I made a stream kicking in the backs of men, kicking men in the back, kicking men in the ass, attacking men, describing men as a bunch of derelicts, Nope. I'm gonna tell the truth. The truth is this. This is the truth right here. That's what the truth is. Damn that. I'll put that up on the screen. How about that? Oh, I gotta definitely address that. It's crazy, man. That's crazy. Yeah, I owe you, brother. Fathers. That's crazy, man. It was bad enough when they tried to, make Father's Day. Remember when some of these guys, every time somebody wish some single mom happy Father's Day, I automatically just block their profile on my Facebook. Disrespect for fathers. Father's Day should be a national holiday considering the problems that we have in society right now. Like not national, I'm talking about like a day where everybody takes a moment of silence and show respect for fathers based on what we have in society right now. They should have Father's Day 5 times a year based on what's going on in society right now. Promoting manhood, masculinity, and Father's Day 5 times a year based on societies, the deterioration of what's going on in society right now. And it is what it is, man. But I just wanted to put that on the table because I even see some of the content creators going in at Gen Z. I get it. But going at their daddies and their mamas and their granddaddy and grandmamas. Going after everybody. Because you are your father's mother's son. And it's usually the generations before the generation that ruins a generation. So that means that the older generation would have ruined Gen X, who would have ruined Gen X and the millennials, who would have also ruined Gen Z. So the generations before are the ones that really you got to look back for it and start applying accountability across the board. But what I see is just this huge focus just on the males without any real solutions, without offering any type of incentive other than you're a man, get up off your ass before we kick you in the back. The young men are not responding to that. They're like kick rocks. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. They lost respect. I can't believe them for losing respect for some of these simp ass dudes that came before them. They're like, F y'all. I get it. I understand. We got a whole lot of simps that are boomers and Gen Z, Gen X men. But again, let's just spread this thing out. But anyhow, my brothers, thank y'all for joining me today. It's 109. We're gonna have a conversation. Really, I really need to talk to Gen Z young men because it's them we're talking about. So they should have the loudest voice. They should have Gen Z young men are the ones that should be talking, not a bunch of old dudes like me and men before me. And women, especially women, need to be quiet. Because they're the ones who really brought about this. Well, not them. It's actually corporations and rich people that really push that feminism stuff and that emasculation of men and that feminizing of men. But women especially, you should be quiet about attacking Gen Z, since they're the ones that have really got into all that feminism crap. He said Dwayne Wade blocking the channel. Yeah, like when you hear women talk about that stuff, I'm like, yo, like Tommy Lauren, look at her, man. Like, you know, like did you like imagine someone like that, Tommy. You know, it's crazy, man. But I'm out of here, gentlemen. Enjoy your Saturday, man. You know, hold on, what is it? Like, no, let me share that one thing. I even saw my brother, CGA, salute to him. But I saw this post too today. Like, look at this right here, right? So, the young man, Jeopardy champion Brandon Lowe, and unemployed, lives with his parents, won almost $60,000, right? So everybody goes into the conversation and whatever, talk about him. Salute to CDJ. Now, is that a problem with the young man? Or is there a problem with his parents? Why are we attacking him? Why are we attacking his mommy and his daddy? You see what I'm saying? How is he able to stay at their house unless they want him there? If that's their choice for their son, what is he? Because he's not fueling your capitalistic machine? So you got a problem with him, but you don't got a problem with his mommy and his daddy. You see where my problem is? Yeah, he's a man, but who raised him? You attack the young man, right? You attack the young man, but you don't attack the people who raised him. Right? So if I raise boys, and if my boys grow up to be a certain way, then the first person that should be attacked is me. Right? The Gen Xer who raised the boys, right? Shouldn't you attack their daddy first and their mama first? Why are we attacking the young men? Attack their parents. If my boys are screw-ups, then you should be coming at me. Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, it's crazy, right? Exactly. And that's what gets me going. What about his daddy and his mama? I won't even attack him. First thing I'd say, who's your daddy and who's your mama? And who's your grandfather and who's your grandma? What happened to that you are your father's son? Your father and your mother's son. And you represent the family name. What happened to that? Yeah, that's pretty much that is true. That is true. But again, spread it all about. Spread it to everybody. Spread it to the greatest society. Spread it to media. Spread it to feminism. Spread it to corporate sponsored feminism. Spread it to government. Spread it to everybody equally instead of just kicking young men in the back. That's all I'm saying. With that, I'm out of here. I get tired of watching it, man. It's goofy as hell. You got you have middle-aged Gen X women and men that are not being held accountable for nothing when it comes to these young men and the behavior, especially these single moms that are kidnapping these boys, feminize them and turning them into their husbands. Peace and blessings. I'm out of here. We'll talk.